I think that a lot of people go into music and it's because, oh, I want to be popular or I want to make a lot of money. I think just kind of have a vision, know why you're doing it, then surrounding yourself with people who have the same vision.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Danny. I do content marketing and merchandising at Splice. And in addition to that, I'm a singer and producer. I'm here with NOVA Wav, a songwriting and production duo. You may have heard their music, but not exactly know that it was them. They're often behind the scenes, and we're going to dig into that a little bit today. So Chi and Blu is who I'm here with. And the first question I wanted to ask is about the distinction between songwriting and production. Can you talk about the difference between those two things?
Well, technically, songwriting and production is the same thing. So somebody's writing the music and somebody's writing the lyrics. So technically, even with with your publisher, they will actually call everyone a songwriter.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, technically it's the same thing. It's just literally somebody is writing the music and somebody's writing the lyrics.
Yeah.
What's that division of labor look like between the two of you?
What does it look like?
We're like super, we trust each other, right? So there are a lot of things that we individually make decisions on, and we're like, this is going to be the best thing for us to do. Do you agree? And if that person actually doesn't agree, we will go back and rework. But as far as like, I'll handle most of the production and she'll handle most of the songwriting, but we are vice versa. It just depends on what the situation is. So say we go into a session and we're there to work with other producers, we'll actually she'll go in and do like melodies, and if she literally hates the track, and because like as a producer, some things it might, throw her off or something like that, then I'll go in and I'll do melody and da-da-da-da. So it's just more so just trusting each other and just figuring out what we like. And we're pretty much the same person when it comes to like what we like, how we like it to sound.
Yeah.
So it just works for us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Got it. And what about is there a point where songwriting happens and then production happens, or is it all happening all at once?
Most of the time it's happening. The production happens first. Yeah, like she always she'll start with a melody I'll come in and I'll do like the drum pattern. I'll tell her how I want it to sound, and then usually I'll let the track lead me where I should go. I don't know, I just found whenever I try to write a song first, it's either like the tone is like too low or too high. It's a songwriting problem. I don't know if we have any songwriters in here. But so usually the production starts first and then the songwriting or the top line starts.
Can we back up for a second? What does songwriting mean to you? Let's get the definition on the table, because I think a lot of people in this room are producers.
Okay.
So I want to hear, what does that mean to you, songwriting?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think songwriting means to me like the ultimate creativity, because it's like having a blank canvas and then just being able to go in and create any type of mood. Like if I have the production there, a great songwriter can take the production and make it whatever they want it to be, So I think that's what songwriting means to me, just being able just to create anything out of thin air. Right.
And a lot of times, to totally be honest, I know there are a lot of producers in here, and we are great. But at the end of the day, we are. As producers, we are really, really great. But at the end of the day, to be totally honest with you, there is nothing about production that's more special than the songwriting. The songwriting is actually what makes the song. And so a lot of producers, I tell them, either if you can't write songs yourself, make sure that you partner with somebody that can give you a complete idea, because at the end of the day, there's like 100 billion producers and like 5 great songwriters. So it's very important to even just try to work on it yourself. As a producer, just maybe trying to do a hook every now and then. I think it makes you more complete.
Yeah.
Even as far as being a producer, and some people are also engineers. I can tell like a lot of people that are producers in here that make packs, they're also engineers because the sound quality is amazing. So I think just adding a lot to who you are and what you do, it expands you. It doesn't put you in a box.
Yeah.
So.
Do you write lyrics?
Absolutely.
You do. And
Yeah.
at what point do those come in?
It just depends. Sometimes, like, I'll go in the booth just to do a melody, and I'll have 50% of the song done because as I'm doing the melody, I'm feeling it out, and the words are just kind of flowing. So, but more than likely, all the words come like afterwards, and then like going back on the song, like working on it, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 months
Got
to
it.
get it where I need it to be.
Are there topics in particular that are like endlessly inspiring to you, or something that's like a muse that you can tap into?
Love. I mean, love is always the scapegoat. But it's something that everybody wants, everybody needs. So it's just like, that's always the go-to. But there's so many different ways to talk about love.
Right.
Like,
For sure.
And when you think about your favorite songs, what can you distill the essence of what makes them your favorite?
What's your favorite?
Or what are your favorite songs?
Well, the general feeling, and like I said, a lot of times my favorite songs are more so leaning to what the lyrics are saying. And I know, honestly, like, we do everything. We do pop, we do R&B, we do rap, but we listen to Drake mostly. It's like he's like the GOAT for us. So we'll like take something very like inspiring, Drake-wise, and put it over a pop track, or just do things that you don't expect.
Got it.
And so.
Got it. And so, okay, so the songwriting part it's once that's finished, what happens after that? I know you're with Warner Chappell. Can you talk a little bit about what they do for you? And does the songwriting and production happen before or after they're in the picture?
Oh, both. Sometimes, it's Warner and our publisher setting up sessions, and then that's where the magic happens. But a lot of times it's just us being proactive, going in, creating records after the record is done. And even when we do songs, we never do a song with a particular artist in mind. I think that's where a lot of producers and songwriters actually mess up, because I think it kind of limits your creativity, and usually the song never ends up going to the artist you try to make it for.
Right.
So after the song is created, if we think we have something great, we'll send it to our publisher, and then he'll do his job where he'll send it out to, the managers or the labels or whatever.
So they're a matchmaker.
Yeah, just a matchmaker. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
And once that happens, do those artists, once they are on board, is it like a client relationship? Are you changing the song to fit that artist? Are they hands-on? Are they just taking what you've done and basically re-recording it?
Both.
Yeah, both.
I say both.
Yeah. But most of the songs when we create them, we try to make it so that anybody can use it. Like, sometimes, and even like trying not to make songs so gender specific all the time. We'll take a song and usually like it's 90% done by the time the artist gets it. But a lot of scenarios too, we'll go in with the artist so that we can really cater to the artist, their vision and what they want to say too as well.
Sure. And to add on to that, there's one particular time where we did a record, and it was just a general record, and it was leaning towards a sexual type of record or whatever. And then our publisher sent it to Kehlani's A&R. And he was like, guys, this is really great, but she's going through a moment right now. Can you totally rewrite this entire song?
Yeah.
The concept is great. Love the concept.
Keep
love
the melody.
Keep the melody. Keep everything. And we literally went back and rewrote like 99% of the bars.
Of the lyrics.
And it actually worked.
Yeah.
And it actually worked. And that never happens.
Yeah.
You never get away with that. And just so there are all kinds of like situations that happen.
Got it.
Yeah. And we actually turned that into a women empowerment song from where it was sexually.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
So can you talk about, as much as you can, what does that deal structure with Warner look like? Not a lot of musicians have something like that, have like that kind of advocate for them. So what does that look like? What do they do for you? And what sort of team do you have at that company?
I'll let you answer.
Okay. Well, our point person is Ryan Press. We were signed by Ryan Press as well as Big John. And honestly, I would say getting a great publisher is one of the best things you can do, ear-wise, because we count on him for a lot as far as double-checking our ear, making sure what we send in is really dope. And that just happens to be Ryan in particular. He's really amazing. He's like an A&R publisher, like / manager. He's just a really great person. But as far as just generally, a publishing deal gives you access to artists. They set up sessions. I know in particular, Wendy Christian has set us up for movie opportunities. We had 2 songs in the, what's the movie called?
A Wrinkle in
Time. And that was literally Ava DuVernay called and was like, I want to work with Kehlani. This is another song with Kehlani. I want to work with Kehlani. Do you have anybody that would be great to work with her? And so they called Wendy, and then Wendy was like, well, you guys did the single for her, and you guys already know each other. So it was kind of, it's that as well, like as far as the connections and stuff like that. And I mean, just being able to have somebody, that you can call, But a lot of times we do a lot. We're very proactive. We're self-managed. So a lot of times we set up our own sessions. A lot of times we just do what we want to do, and it works for us. We like to be in control.
Publishing deals kind of just work for you if you work.
Right.
It's just one of those things. Just like people think that once you get into a publishing deal, then just your life changes. But it's usually the opposite. You really, really have to really work. And then it's like, as far as like our team, it's just us and our manager, of course, God, and
Our publisher.
our publisher.
Yeah.
Did I say our
You said
publisher?
manager.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Our publisher. I'm sorry, but he's kind of like our manager too, and our lawyer, and that's really all we need at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
What was the moment where they noticed you? Did you approach them? Did they approach you? And what work had been done that you felt sealed that deal?
Oh, okay. So, like 2011, I signed a publishing deal, and she decided not to sign a publishing deal. And that's when we did, 2012, we did a song for Rihanna. And so we kind of just decided it would be like better to wait, kind of just wait it out. We waited about another maybe 3 years before she actually entertained a publishing deal. And so I think that's when...
I think our publisher now, Ryan, actually called you and was like, hey, send me some records.
Yeah.
And then, he's like, oh, who's involved in the records? Da-da-da. It's just you 2 guys. Okay, great. Let's do a publishing deal.
Yeah.
And just like waiting, honestly, sometimes waiting is very beneficial because you can when somebody really wants you, there's some things that we cut out in our deals just because they wanted us.
Right.
So a lot of times it is good. It's just good to wait.
Cool. And do you have like an arsenal of songs that you've produced that you sort of kind of keep in the back pocket? Do you withhold stuff like until the right moment, or is everything like? And also, do you have like a quota that you need to meet with your publisher? Do you have to hand in a certain amount of songs?
No, like that way of like doing deals is old. Like where you had like no, it's usually now how they do deals. It's like an amount of years. So we just as we work, we just send in records. We just have to make sure that the records are approved first. Like we can't like go and like do like independent deals. It's just like a lot of paperwork. So we just have to make sure that,
And as far as holding records, we're not the type of people to hold records because we always honestly feel like we don't feel like there's been a record that we can't top that we've done.
Yeah.
When we were talking on the phone, you said in spite of being nominated for 2 Grammys this year, you feel like you haven't had that hit.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
we always
what?
feel like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always feel like we still haven't had the right
we
moment.
haven't had-
We haven't had the right song. And that's just us just working as hard as we do and being hard on ourselves. Just always wanting to push it to the limit.
Yeah.
Whatever the limit is.
But you also said 2019 is the year.
I believe
this is the year.
2019 is the year.
This is the year. This is the year. I promise.
What's the timeline on a project once you get something submitted by or accepted by an artist? And there's some either revisions or they come into the studio to work with you. Are they typically like? Is it a fast turnaround?
Ooh, sometimes it's not.
Okay.
We've waited 3 years for release of a song, or we've waited maybe a week and a half before a release. So it just kind of just depends.
Yeah.
Typically, like it's a maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, it really, honestly, like we're still waiting on certain placements now that were supposed to come out maybe like last year or and even sometimes like just to go with Jay-Z and Beyonce, like we built a relationship with them in 2014. And so that was the first time we worked like on their joint album, and then like literally it came out 4 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And literally maybe the last 2 weeks before it was released, we went overseas, and that's when we got like 3 of the 4 placements that we got. You know what I'm saying? Like at the very last minute, the week before. So it's just kind of one of those things that's just always up in the air. You just never know.
Just always got to be ready.
So when we first met, I hadn't started working at Splice yet. You weren't affiliated with Splice at all. And it was at, I was doing an Ableton demo, you were doing like a production demo. And what I remember was the two of you saying, everybody in this room, if you haven't downloaded Splice, you have to go home and download Splice. You said it a number of times. You handed out a piece of paper. Splice was bolded on it as like a number one tool for music. I think I went home and like looked at their job listings that night too.
Wow. So, look at that.
Anyway, but you obviously use this as a tool organically. It's not just because you're here talking about it, but I want to hear a little bit. Keep in mind that there's a lot of label owners in this audience, people that make sounds, distribute them on Splice. And I can, as a marketing person at Splice, I know that for a lot of these labels, it would be amazing to have one of your sounds from your sample packs used in an album like The Carters. So talk a little bit about how you peruse Splice. What is that browse experience like? And like what keywords are you looking for? How does it go from like idea, like I need this hi-hat, to now it's in the track?
You know what? Let's see. Honestly, it's literally, it's probably a very weird thing to say, but sounds actually find you organically. I know that doesn't answer your question. But browsing, and when something just literally hits you and it's like, it touches something inside of you, you literally choose and download that sound. As far as like, I was telling you that we used a hi-hat loop on the Carters album, and the track itself is like, it's kind of like a New York type of track. And I remember sitting down with, we sat down with Jay-Z, and he played us the song a couple months before we actually went out to like Cardiff. And he was like, you know, I like the track, but they only had the sample. So he was like, I like the track, but it's just something about it that just doesn't move, da-da-da-da. So we literally went and looked up hi-hat loops that were like, had like a 3/4 type of groove to it. And I believe the hi-hat loop came from the MDL pack, if I'm not mistaken. And literally took the hi-hat loop, but like chopped it in different ways. So it was a little bit different, and then added a plugin called Halftime to it. So it did like these little weird things and da-da-da. You guys can check out the song. It's called Love Happy on the Everything Is Love album. But even just that, I mean, a lot of times you're looking for high quality sounds, number one. I like really appreciate all the Splice pack creators that take your time and like make sure it's high quality sounds, because that's less time that we have to spend making it sound better.
Does high quality mean that it has no effects on it? Like it's a raw sound, untreated, so that you can do what you need with it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. The more work you do, the less we have to do. And then we do a lot of collaborating, in studio collaborating. So, which we used to, like when we lived in Atlanta, it'd just be us in a room and da-da-da-da. And so now we're literally in with the artists, we're in with other producers, we're in with songwriters, so it has to be very quick. And the more time you guys spend making it sound great and it's just ready to go, the more likely it's gonna be used. I've seen, like, we'll be doing a session and somebody's like, oh yeah, I used that sound last week. You know what I'm saying? Because it just sounds so good, it sounds great to everybody. So yeah.
So it's less functional. You're less going there and being like, I need a snare that is like a snare loop that is this BPM, and you're like kind of like perusing and letting it find you.
Well, I mean, yeah, that we definitely go in and like fine tune, like search. I remember a song that we did not too long ago with Kelly Rowland. It's actually called Kelly. And she gave us the narrative. She said, I want something that feels like Travis Scott. So we literally went through, found things that sound like dark and melodic, and we had like 10 samples. And you know, the one we chose, I think it was from, there's a person, I want to say it's ADTRF or something like that.
Okay.
How do you remember that?
I know.
Okay, we'll check.
Yeah, we'll clarify. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, we did go in and fine tune for that. You know what I'm saying? So there are things that we will fine tune, but a lot of times we just gather a bunch of things that we like, and we'll just go through the sounds.
Got it. So you're nominated for 2 Grammys this year. Mm-hmm. Congrats, that's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Another interesting metric is that last time I looked, you also have 2 SoundCloud followers.
Do we? I didn't even know we had a SoundCloud.
I thought our SoundCloud was like private. I didn't even know it was like public. Oh my God. Is there music on it?
Yeah.
We should go check that out.
Yeah.
Give it some hits.
We were making the SoundCloud to send out to like A&Rs and stuff.
Okay, we should look at it after.
Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
It's fine. But I guess what the greater thing here is that, you know, I don't want to like, we talked about this, I don't want to like embarrass or make this like a big deal, but the point is, and what is really cool about this is that so many musicians are chasing those numbers so heavily, spending a lot of like precious money on like promoting posts and so much time and mental energy thinking about what that Instagram post is going to look like. How on earth did you circumvent that game to arrive at a place where you are being called by Jay-Z and Beyonce as like a first point of contact when they want to make a new record?
I think it just goes back to the old saying, we've all heard it, quality over quantity. You know, so I think that as most people concentrate more on what it looks like, we concentrate on what it sounds like. You know, so I just think that we've just been able to just kind of just like, what's the word I want to use? Just like,
or like a niche.
Yeah.
We're something like a niche, I'd say. As far as like how we like to go about records. Like sometimes we'll literally stay stuck on writing one line for like 2 hours because like as NOVA, we have to make sure like everything's on point. And some people just might fill it in and that works for them. But I think a lot of people come to us specifically because we actually care about the record. I know I told you before, but we pray before sessions. We ask God to be in the room. This is your moment. We're just the vessels. So we actually really are very, very specific in what we do and what we know that we're called to do. So I think it just resonates. I think we just, you know, we do. I'm joking.
On the phone, you used the phrase. You said we're poppin', but not popular.
Yeah.
There
you go.
So, do you like being behind the scenes? Do you sort of long for like that moment in the spotlight? Do you want to perform? Is that like on your life roadmap at all?
I think we do need more visibility. Just being like women of color and just being 2 women, you know, being a production and songwriting team, that's something you don't see a lot. So I just think that we definitely need more visibility in terms of just being able to inspire young women and, you know, and things of that nature, just branding purposes. But it's as far as popularity, we don't care about that.
And you mentioned maybe just going out there and being artists as well.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that we would want to do down the line, but it's no pressure. It's like we know that we could do it, but it's no pressure right now. And we know that there are some doors that we want to knock down as far as, like you said, visibility with even just the songwriting and production before we even go into being artists. I think, like she said, people being able to see, you know, women of color do something that nobody else has done. You know what I'm saying? So just to to knock down some doors with first, and then go into artistry would be dope.
We have some people here who work with children, youth in music production. I used to do that as well, and it's the music studio in a community center is increasingly popular. What advice do you have for those young people, particularly women of color, who are trying to achieve some of the success that you've had?
I would say first, just kind of know why you're doing what you're doing. Like, I think that a lot of people go into music and it's because, I want to be popular or I want to make a lot of money. I think just kind of have a vision, know why you're doing it, then surrounding yourself with people who have the same vision. This just makes the path a lot more clear when you kind of know what you want or whatever. I say that.
I would say just to add on to that, knowing what you want, but really meaning it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been doing music for forever. Like, I mean, and we did go to college, and there was other things that we had to concentrate on, etc. But we never stopped. We literally every time somebody said no, we literally were like, all right. I mean, I know I'm not whack, so I'm just gonna keep going.
And especially not even letting being a woman. I think that day of that seeing that ceiling and saying I'm a woman, I can't do this, I can't do that, or I can't be an engineer. That's totally irrelevant now. Right. It's like being a woman is like a superpower almost. Right. And I think that's what we use it as, as a superpower. So,
definitely.
Yeah, just using your strength.
Yeah.
The strength of a woman.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with that, we probably have time for about 2 questions. Does anybody have anything they want to ask? NOVA Wav is also going to be available to do our B2B session. So if you haven't signed up for that, I'm not sure if you're booked yet entirely. Any questions? Steve, yeah.
How did you find?
We have a really great producer friend by the name of UC Ilmari. The song that we're nominated for a Grammy for Kelly Clarkson's Meaning of Life. And the day we actually created the record that's on there, he was like, yo, I got something for you, da-da-da. And that was the day he introduced us to Splice. So there's a lot of great stuff going on here.
All producers are using Splice. Yeah. Everybody's using Splice.
Yeah, everybody is on Splice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool.
You said that knowing your reason, right? So what's your reason?
I just want to repeat the question really quick. You said that knowing the reason is really important, so you wanted to know what theirs is. Yeah.
I think my reason for sure is just to let women know that they're powerful. And if you hear a lot of our songs, we're always gonna drop a gem. It's always gonna be something that's leaves a woman feeling like, damn, I can do it. I am beautiful.
Right.
So I think that's definitely my reason because, growing up in music, growing up listening to music, we heard a lot of that. And I feel like at some point that started to die down and we want to be able to bring that back into music,
I think we've always talked about how growing up, we always just felt special, number one, and just really, really felt like we were here to do something. And then I think innately, music just grew out of us, and so those two passions actually just merged. But I think it's just literally just knowing it's for you, on the inside, you really just know. And when you know, you basically won't quit, pretty much. Sure.
One more question? Yep.
Hi guys.
Hi.
I had a question about just staying inspired throughout the creative process because I know as a creator, I kind of fizzle out sometimes and have those periods where I'm not really compelled to make something, design something. So I just want to know, how do you guys keep your creative juices flowing and stay inspired?
That's a great question. You want to answer? I can answer.
Well, my answer would be just being human, knowing that it's okay to have those moments because everybody has them, And and just sometimes you have to step away. It's okay to step away for 2 weeks or 2 months if that's what you need. Giving yourself time, going out, just experiencing things. Listening to different types of music, going to different places you never frequent. I think that's what gets my creative juices going, and just not being afraid to make bad ideas. I mean, because beauty comes from sometimes the things that we don't really see, that we don't see as beautiful. So. I think that's how I stay creative and inspired.
For sure.
Yeah, just giving myself time to be human and knowing that it's okay.
For sure. I think honestly, what helps myself is I do a lot of mindfulness things in the mornings, and I've kind of started to work out, and honestly, you really don't think so, but it actually gives you more confidence. You know what I'm saying? It raises certain levels inside of you that are very essential. And I know it's the cliche thing to say, but I could go on forever. But yeah, basically, and honestly, like she said, you can take time away from it. I know there were times where we used to feel guilty, if we wanted to go to Dave & Buster's instead of making music. We would be we can't go. And then we'd just sit in the house and not do anything.
Yeah, not create anything. We sit in the studio and just not make anything.
Yeah, not make anything because we really should be having, So, I mean, just like she said, not being afraid to step out, do something else. Working out, mindfulness, just things like that. Praying.
A lot of praying.
Yeah.
A lot of praying.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
been so nice to talk with you.
Thank you.